Hello there, and welcome to the tour of the Learner Speeder Bike, the third vehicle in my signature Wimpomania line of vehicles. My name is Wimpoman, and I'm the chief designer, chief builder, chief architect, and chief dumbass behind the Learner Speeder Bike update project. So, as I said, this is an updated vehicle. Let's come out of those views. So first, I'm going to show you the original vehicle. And here it is, just here. This is the original Learner, as with all of the vehicles that I'm currently going through and updating. This was built before, I think, before 1.0. So this is actually one of the later ones. This is, originally, this is the 10th vehicle in the Wimpomania line. So that's quite a long way along the line of vehicles. So it's actually possible this was built after 1.0, but I don't think so. But as you can see, it's roughly the same. Now this thing here, the truss blocks were like a personalization slot. You could put whatever you wanted there. In fact, yes, if I open up the actual blueprint workshop page for the original, yeah, there we go. So I have an image with the truss blocks, and then I show you what you can replace it with. So that's what the detector used to look like. So it didn't come with the detector. You could put a detector there, or a gun, or a drill, or a laser drill, or you could remove the ones on the side as well and pop a tree cutter, a harvester module. That was the idea. With the new one, I've just stuck a gun on it, figuring, well, if you can remove truss blocks to put something else there, you can also remove a gun to put something else there. But there you go, that's what it originally was. So now that I've shown you the original vehicle, I'm now going to show you around the updated vehicle, starting with its role and its task equipment. So its role as a speeder bike is to transport a single person, or this particular one is a single person speeder bike, and its equipment it uses to do that is the seat and the thrusters, I suppose. Right, so that's the end of that segment. So the next segment is going to be its propulsion, handling and lift capacity. Its propulsion, starting with its forward thrust then, it has 2 thruster jets. With HVs, you probably know this, with HVs there is only 1 thruster jet, and it is the 1x3x1. It also has a normal, regular, medium tier 1 thruster as well. Braking and reverse, it has 2 medium tier 2 thrusters. Laterally, it has 5 smalls on both sides. It also has 3 hover engines, 2 at the back and 1 at the front. So its mobility, starting with its maneuverability, it'll accelerate forwards at 77 meters per second squared. It'll brake and reverse at 45, and laterally it'll do 34 meters per second squared. Agility, the only one I really find particularly important with HVs is the yaw for turning, so 83 degrees per second of yaw. Pitch and roll is 56 and 78. I don't find those as important, although maybe the pitch is for transitioning from flat and level to up a hill, for example. She drives a bit like this. So quite manoeuvrable. Oh, I forgot to mention that she actually has some RCSs. Don't look over there yet. It's just an unpainted one, nothing particularly exciting. Yeah, so that's how she drives. And like I said, she has 2 RCSs. Right, as for lift, so she can operate in up to 7.5 G. She will lift, let's have a look, 15.3 tons in 4G. Now the vehicle itself weighs 8.14 tons, so she will lift an additional 7.1 tons in 4G, there or thereabouts. Right, that's the end of that segment. So the next segment is going to be her power, fuel and air. So as usual with my tours, I'm going to tell you about this stuff now and then show you where it is during the interior layout bit. So power, she has a small power generator. Fuel, she has 5 large and a small fuel tank. Air, none, other than whatever environment you happen to be in because it's open cockpit. Right, that's the end of that segment. So the next segment is going to be her weapons, defences and construction. Weapons, it has a single Gatling gun on the front. Defences, no armour, no shields. Construction, now we can look over here. So this is the unpainted version, which I saved obviously before I painted so that you can see how it's made. It is simply all carbon composite. Now the original was made of steel, and I did very nearly make this one out of steel as well. Because it has a gun, it's slightly more combat orientated than the other bikes I have built. So I very nearly upped it to steel just to give it a little bit more survivability. I chose not to in order to keep its maneuverability and agility up. I figured if you want more armour, you can get your multi-tool out and upgrade. So there we go, that's what she looks like. It's all carbon composite. No, I've took that off, didn't I, for the intro. There we go. So that's what it looks like unpainted. Not really much to see. Oh, I always forget to point out what type of window it is. I'm sure you can guess it's the lighter of the two available for HVs. Normal window S. Right, that's the end of that segment. So the next segment is going to be its resource gathering, production and storage. Relatively quick segment. Resource gathering, it has none. Production, it has none. Storage, it has a 500 SU container in the back here, and it has a 125 ammo controller just there. So that's just the controller with no extensions. And the cargo box, or cargo container I should say, is the controller and 3 extensions. The 2 behind it, and there's actually 1 below. That's the end of that segment. So the next segment is going to be the interior layout, whatever there is of it, and any remaining devices. Do you know what? This is probably going to be one of the few times that I do the interior layout bit first. Done. So yeah, it's just a seat open to the elements. Any remaining devices, so we have a docking pad. Of course my HVs always have a little tail light, which is a red coloured flare on the back. As I always say, if you don't like it you can turn it off, and if you hate it you can multi-tool it off. These shutters would count as any remaining devices. Behind these is access to fuel in case you like to manually interact with bits of a vehicle. Although I haven't given you the same access to the generators and things and the core. Sometimes I can't. I try to, but sometimes I can't. Okay, anything else? I mean, I'm going to phase into the back in a minute, but is there anything else visible? Not really. Yeah, no, so it's just internal stuff. So there's the core behind the seat. Obviously that's going to draw fire, but so will you. There's the wireless connection. Oh, there's the detector. You probably saw it. I forgot to mention it. There's one of the 2 RCSs. There's the other one. There's the container extension I said was below the controller. There's one of the fuel tanks. Then we have more fuel back here. Yes, yes, and yes. And under there as well. And then right at the back, at the bottom, See if I can give you a decent view of it. Not really. Well, that-ish. So the generator is right in the back here, above that block and in front of theirs. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's everything. So the next segment then is going to be its shortcuts and signals. Now, unlike normal vehicles of mine, because it's just a bike, I don't bother doing the heads-up displays, but there isn't much in the way of shortcuts and signals anyway. So, starting at the top of the device groups, we have two, and the first one is Propulsion, etc. That'll turn on all thrusters, all of the hover engines, and all of the RCSs. The next one down is the tail light, which obviously turns on and off the bright red thing on the back. Signals then. Power save, I don't think it does anything except actually turn off the Wi-Fi on this vehicle, because there's so little on it, there is nothing else to turn off with the power save. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's all it does. I was nearly going to rename it to just Wi-Fi, but I didn't, just to stick with the siren. Just to stick with the tradition of the top one being power save. Siren gone now. Next one down is Gatling gun. Opens the deploys the Gatling gun. Pretty self-evident. Close shutters. So on some vehicles of mine, I give you a close something thing, so that if you open something like this shutter, and then you get in the seat and realise it's open because you go into the third person cam, I didn't want you to have to get back out of the seat. So you can either go to here, or you can use the shortcut, Control Shift and 3, I think it is by default. No? Oh, Shift and 3. See, this is why I actually this is why I put the HUD on. Alt, Control and 3. And guess what? I wasn't in the third person view again to prove it. So, Alt, Control, 3. There we go. And that will only close it. It won't open them again. Right, that's the end of that segment. So the next segment is going to be its CPU and upgrading. So as you saw on the interior bit, it is just a core. I went to where the generator was. So the core, just in case you're skipping around in the video, is behind the the driver's seat, just there. Again, it's tier 1, so it has no extenders. It uses just over 3,800 of the 5,000 CPU allowed. Upgrading. There isn't an inbuilt upgrade path, so there's no spare slots to put anything. But, as I always say, that doesn't mean you can't personalise. And as I've already alluded to, if you'd like, you can remove the Gatling gun and the ammo controller, if you like, and pop there a drill or a laser drill, a mechanical drill or a laser drill, or anything like that. You could, in fact, and this is very nearly how it was going to come configured, you could put another reverse thruster there, and yeah, I decided the gun was better, but you could do that. And again, as I said earlier, if you would like to, you can of course upgrade some of the carbon composite to steel, is what I would suggest. Right, so that's the end of that segment. So the next and last segment is going to be any other info. While I'm parking it, actually, this probably counts as other info. I could have done it in the propulsion, etc. So if you look at the crosshairs there, you will see, flat ground allowing. It does pitch up slightly by about 1.5-ish degrees-ish. The back end is quite heavy, and it only has 2 hover engines back there. But never mind. It's a bike after all. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about, and I got the original back out, is the color change. So, as I said in one of the other I can't remember now whether it was for the starter class or the initiate class, but I said about, I can't remember whether they had just introduced the, I want to call it a portable constructor, but I'm not sure it is. Oh, they've changed the model. When did that happen? Okay. So, the portable constructor, I can't remember whether they had just introduced it or they had just updated it to a different colour. But the constructor was, thank you, in a colour similar to this. Now, I was building the Wimpomania line of vehicles in that colour. So it looked more like that. And then when I did my Survival and Defence series, they were supposed to be related to the portable constructor that was a colour similar to that blue. And I decided that the Survival and Defence series should be that blue. I stupidly decided that I can't have more than one group of vehicles sharing the same colour. I regret it now. I should have just thought, why not? Why can't they have the same blue? So I stupidly replaced the blue for the Wimpomania series with this one. And for whatever reason, especially with the ships, that blue just does not look good on my vehicles. I want to pick that back up. There you go. It's a good job it says on screen. So that's why it looks... Well, that's why it's painted in that blue, because I didn't want it to be the same blue, and I picked one of the other blues. Now, of course, I've done a blue that is even kind of more saturated, I think is how you would describe it. So that's that. One thing I always forget to talk about, well, most of the time I forget to talk about, is damage textures that I'm going to cover real quick. So I use that colour and that texture to be a damage texture, which shows whenever you lose a block. Can I do this? Yeah, I could undo it. So if you take a bit of damage because you get shot, what's exposed looks like it's smouldering metal, which I like. Whereas if I didn't do that, it would be that, which doesn't look like damage at all. Yeah, so that's why I do that. Right, the next thing I want to talk about is the naming convention of the Wimpomania line of vehicles, because I've been forgetting up till now. Although I did talk about why the starter class shuttle pod was called the starter class shuttle pod. However, when I then built more ships in that series of vehicles, because I consider myself a noob at building, I wanted all the vehicles to be named similar to starter, where the word means either someone new at something or someone who is the first at something. And synonyms of that, which is why we end up with names like initiate and learner and freshman. Later on down the line there will be and cadet and probationer and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, either new at something or someone who is the first to do something, or the synonyms of those words is what I've used for the Wimpomania line. Right, one more thing to do, like I usually do, although I did forget again with the starter class and the initiate class, and that is to publish to the workshop in the video. There we go. Right, so that'll be the end of the tour. Thank you very much for taking an interest in the Learner Speeder Bike. I hope you get some use out of it. And hopefully I will see you in another video for a different build. So thank you again, and goodbye.